Thanks, Lee, and thank you for inviting me to present, and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Philip Waitman and I work for MWH Global. I'm the Queensland Transport Team Leader and I also float around as Asia Pacific 12D Model Leader as well. I've had an association with Lee and Alan for almost 20 years and been involved with 4D, 12D for almost the same period of time. I actually enjoyed Lee's discussion or his indulgence session this morning when he said, it gave us an idea of where he came from. It's been a journey. The following presentation, Transforming Fiji Roads, was put together by a number of personnel within the business. Just to acknowledge them first up. There was Mike Rudge, who's located in Fiji. He's our Fiji Road Network Manager. James Caulfield, who spent about 12 months over in Fiji. He was the Fiji Design Team Leader. Richard Taylor, my colleague who's in the audience here. And Aaron Isaacs, who worked for MWH in New Zealand and provided the training support. I've got no drive-throughs or animation, so it shouldn't crash. Currently, we're involved in a world-leading project which is underway in Fiji, and it's about bringing a sustained improvement to the national road network and the country to improve the daily life of the Fijian people. A couple of facts about Fiji. It's made up of 332 islands, with 110 of these being permanently populated. Has a land area of about 18,300 square metres and a population of 890,000. There's two major islands in Fiji, Viti Levu in the south, and there's Vanuatu in the northeast. Most Fijians reside on Viti Levu's coast, either in Greater Suva, which is the capital, and with a population of 370,000, it's the largest urban area, or they live in smaller villages. In Fiji, there's more than 10,000 kilometres of roads. At last count, I think there was about 936 bridges that are managed in 3 geographical divisions. Approximately half of those 11,000 kilometres of roads are of a standard that you'd normally expect in a developed country, and the other half are of cane and rural roads of a very minimal and sometimes very minimal standard. The transport system. Until recently, Fiji's transport system and the road network was in a very poor state. The country virtually had no system in place to maintain and operate its transport infrastructure, and much of the network was in a serious state of disrepair. Typical road. This placed a significant strain on business efficiency, productivity growth, and overall passenger experience. Unless you've got a four-wheel drive there, that'd be quite a bumpy road. The Fijian government decided that a total overhaul of the transportation system and network was required, and while aware that there was a need to dramatically increase expenditure in the road network, the government recognised that establishing efficient and sustainable road management systems and approaches is more about than just fixing roads. Putting money back into a broken system that was plagued by unnecessary bureaucracy and corruption would not solve the problem. Institutional or structural change to the way in which networks are managed would be required. I had a brief chat with Noel Burton this morning, who spent a bit of time in Fiji, and he was looking forward to seeing how it's changed and where it's gone from. The challenge. Tackling the challenge. To tackle the challenge, the government engaged MWH Global to undertake a project that would completely overhaul the management of Fiji's national road network. The overhaul of the management of Fiji's national road network was achieved by employing innovative systems and processes to deliver sustained improvement across the country's transport network. The project scope. What was the project scope? The scope of the 5-year project included the establishment of the Fiji Road Authority, or the FRA, and this was completed in 2013, January 2013. The scope also included the upgrade and maintenance of the country's 10 to 11,000 kilometres of road network, 1,000 bridges, and 44 plus jetties, and they're still counting. So they haven't counted them all at this point in time. Another really important outcome and deliverable of the project was a transfer of design and construction knowledge to not only the FRA staff, but also to the Fiji road construction industry. Typical road they had to deal with. Okay, the core tasks. One of the primary and core tasks of the project has been the establishment of a fully integrated organisation to oversee the Fiji's transport system. This process, it involved the bringing together of roads and bridges, which were previously managed by the Department of National Roads, 13 municipal authorities, the sugarcane industry, or the Fiji Sugar Corporation, and the Ministry of Provisional Development. All of the above were combined and came under the responsibility of the Fiji Road Authority. Okay, the Fiji Road Authority, an asset management approach. The Fiji Road Authority has taken an asset management approach to maintain its road network, to determine the government's needs for broader transportation economic goals, and to establish acceptable levels of service, which all adds to developing long-term strategies for road upgrades and upkeep to meet the ongoing needs of the Fijian people. This approach considered the whole network, the whole transport network, project prioritisation, and getting the best value for money. Transition to the Fiji Road Authority took place, as I mentioned earlier, or was completed on the 1st of January, but it took about 12 months. And just some things to note there, it implemented strong management processes, implemented robust reporting systems, and it had a real focus on value for money. With the new systems in place, the FRA has clear objectives now, and they have transparent justification for activities and expenditure. In addition to this, which is a little bit outside of the design field, there were strong contract and procurement models put in place, and this enabled the FRA to hold private contractors accountable to meet the defined performance measures. Knowledge transfer. One of the biggest benefits of the project has been the knowledge transfer through the ongoing upskilling of the staff in the FRA and throughout the Fiji road industry. I think it was the philosopher Francis Bacon, who once said that knowledge is power. I would suggest that in this day and age that the sharing of knowledge is power, and I think these 12-day user seminars are a fine example of that. And when people start sharing their knowledge, there is very little that they can achieve together, very little that they can't achieve together. There's been a huge amount of knowledge sharing and transfer to local staff from MWH across all engineering disciplines. This includes highways and roads. And that goes back to basics of what is the off-road standard, how do you develop a local guide, what is fit for purpose. Included the development by my New Zealand colleagues of 12D model standards for the FRA to ensure there was consistent model inputs and outputs, and the development of CAD standards to ensure there was, once again, consistent themes to drawings and output production. All this is about the ability of the consultants and the contractors to pass on their expertise and knowledge to local workers and companies. And it's crucial in helping Fiji become more self-sufficient, which we hope will over time help the country reduce their reliance on foreign workers to deliver an efficient, effective transport system. I think at this point in time, there's, after the clean out of all the different government bodies, the Fiji Road Authority now has about 100 permanent staff, and it's supplemented with approximately the same number of different expats flying in, flying out. Knowledge transfer, 12D model, MWH Global. Like many large organisations, we have a number of civil engineering software floating around the company, but we've set a direction to set 12D as the primary civil engineering software utilised by MWH Global across their Asia Pacific region. This includes Australia, New Zealand and Fiji, and we're starting to infiltrate our offices in Asia and also in the Middle East. This knowledge transfer sharing that I've spoken about earlier extends to the use of 12D model across the Asia Pacific region. Our training program. The 12D model, the Fiji 12D model training program was developed in New Zealand and delivered over a 2-week period by my New Zealand colleagues Aaron Isaacs and Richard Taylor. The training needs were assessed, material was developed and tailored to suit the Fiji Road Authority, and 12D customisation ensured consistent design approach and outputs. That's Aaron there. We sent our best to Fiji. Once the development of the training material was finalised, Aaron and Richard packed their bags and headed to sunny Fiji for 2 weeks of what they thought was going to be some fun in the sand and sun. But it was quite intensive, and when you're starting with a group of guys that were from the ground up, it can be quite a challenge. The initial 12D model training was delivered to the local Fijian designers, the local Fiji Road Authority having its own 12D model licences, and during peak times they're supported or supplemented by our network licences off our New Zealand server. Follow-up training was carried out by Aaron, and it's backed up with continual support from the guys in New Zealand. We anticipate that one of the local designers will take on the role of a super user and be the go-to person in that region in the next year or two. Okay, before I launch into a couple of the projects, as stated earlier, there's about 10,000, 11,000 kilometres of roads spread across 332 Fijian islands, 1,000 bridges and about 44 jetties. While some of the projects are grand in scale, a lot of the projects are not grand in scale, but the volume of the overall project certainly is. The current infrastructure spend in Fiji is about 723 million. Of that, about 480 is allocated to the Fiji Road Authority. And that then gets broken down into a CapEx or a capital expenditure of about 280,000 and OpEx of 200,000. So there's quite a substantial budget there that we're responsible for. Some of these small projects and large projects, as I said, some are significant, some aren't, but the impact of these projects and their impact on Fijians' daily life is very significant. I've just got a couple of projects here. Am I okay for time, Lee? Yeah. A couple of minutes, okay. The Harris Road upgrade. It was the main westbound route out of Suva. It services the port and the cities and the central bus station. The old layout had a multitude of conflicting movements and have been developed over time without consideration to overall traffic management, and as such, accidents were not uncommon. And accidents were uncommon. I think my colleague, when he was in Fiji, was there trying to avoid potholes. So a swerve to the left or the right, you end up on the wrong side of the road, but it's purely to avoid something that's a little bit deep in the road. Pavements were in poor condition, which reinforced the erratic driving, and vehicles manoeuvred to avoid these large potholes. The route also serves as a main tourist route into town for the cruise liners. So as such, MWH proposed a series of traffic management amendments to be implemented in conjunction with the pavement rehab works proposed for 2013. Delivery of the project was by Fijian locals with project management and project technical lead support from New Zealand. Current status, works are mostly complete. The Nandi and Suva Road upgrade project, and we've been involved, or the team's been involved with stage 2A-2. This project's about road improvements to those roads connecting the Nandi International Airport with the Nandi town and so forth. There's widenings, there's improvement of the road connecting the other international airport with Suva, and they will increase the capacity and safety of the road users. I'll flick through a couple of project snaps. The following slides are of typical projects undertaken in Fiji. The before and after shots are a good example of how simple engineering solutions can reconnect the community and restore daily life to Fijians. The new Moto Bridge, this was a bridge that I think the last time it flooded went under by about 3 metres, and I think every time a cyclone comes through, it went under. So in the past, the Moto Bridge in Bar has experienced flooding during the cyclones or other extreme weather events, and it was 2012, that when it went under 3 metres of water. To mitigate, the future flooding, the new bridge was raised and extends further across the floodplain. It included 5 kilometres of newly sealed road, and also provides a vital link in the supply route for sugar cane to the mill. Lifeline has been restored for the people of Bar, so every time this went out, the lifeline was cut off. The bridge was built at a cost of about $5 million and provides access to towns, hospitals and markets, and gives the local kids access again to their schools. This one here, it's a place that was part of a Godfrey rehab program. It doesn't look like anything significant, but someone gave me a tally of all the potholes that have been fixed, and to date, or the last count, I think there was 500,000 potholes that have been fixed on the roads in Fiji. So when you talk about fixing a pothole, it's probably not a big deal, but when there's 500,000 of them, it's quite a few. This one here, it's typical of a village access bridge, and I did ask how many we have done of these, and they said, 50 to 60 of them. So they're part of the maintenance program. For these bridges, it's more about restoring access to the local villages, and the good point around this is that it's part of a large emergency works program. So Fiji does expect these bridges to go out, and they allocate about $10 million per annum for pure emergency works for this type of bridge. So they've got programs in place now. They understand which ones are urgent, which ones are emergency type works. Flick on to the next one. This is a Namosi Road. It was up in the Highland area, and once again, this is typical of the type of slip that occurs. There was a fair few gabions stacked into this one, but it was part of this. This had input from geotech structural, but the main priority here was actually to reopen the connection of Namosi Road. So when these roads go out, whether it's a bridge or whether it's a road, whether it's a culvert and a causeway, the priority is to actually get the roads open again so it restores the daily life to the Fijian people. Okay, summing it all up. For a country that did not have an effective transport network, virtually no systems in place to maintain and operate the infrastructure that was in existence, and a network in a very serious state of disrepair, the turnaround is becoming clear to see. It will still take a few more years for these changes to become embedded and sustainable. Fiji roads and their safety have improved, means now possible for more children in remote villages to get to school. Better roads mean more money is being brought into rural communities, and in a country where 80% of people get around by bus, daily life is becoming easier. Thank you very much.